And welcome to Sasquatch Says, the podcast that is all Avs all the time. Unfortunately, I do not have a location of my co-host. Um, I can guarantee she's out doing something important. I'm sure she's probably out on a call as we speak. So unfortunately, no Callie as of yet. If she pops in, we'll bring her in. But as of right now, you're just stuck with me, my salad, and my playoff beard that is in full go, y'all. And if you don't know, now you know. Playoff hockey, it has started. Avalanche absolutely mollywopped Matt Duchene and the Nashville Predators in game one. It was an absolute dismantling. The final score was 7-2, but that's how just absolutely dominating the Avalanche were in game one. It was just over from the beginning. There was 3 goals scored in the first 5 minutes. There, the NHL doesn't even the average team doesn't even average 3 goals a game, and these guys got it done in less time it takes for the average man to use the toilet. Like this, it was just absolutely wonderful to see after the last week of the season that saw the Avalanche only get one win that they were able to eke out um, there in the last week. So seeing them come out and just absolutely dominate this Nashville Predators team that is not a bad team. Like I know a lot in Avs country want to hate on him because of Matt Duchene and his exit, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. But this is not a bad Nashville team, and the Avalanche made them look like they belonged in the amateurs. Like it wasn't even fair. We had um, Nathan McKinnon get 3 points, 2 goals, and an assist. Cale Makar also had 3 points. He had a goal and assist. There was 6 different Avalanche that scored those 7 goals. So it wasn't like one guy like McKinnon and Makar went out and had a hat trick apiece or something. This was a whole team effort. Those 6 scorers were Nathan McKinnon led all with 2 goals. Then Cale Makar, Gabe Landeskog, Andrew Cogliano, Arturi Lincoln, Devon Taves. Yep, those are the 6 that scored a goal. That is a beautiful sight to see because that means that the depth of scoring on this team is at its best at the best time. Everybody was so concerned about how Bednar handled all of the lines and the switching out of everybody in the last week that they wanted to concentrate. That's why they lost the President's Trophy. Who cares? The Avs won the President's Trophy last year and were bounced in round 2 by the Golden Knights after a 7-1 victory then. And then they get swept out of the building after that. So this is not the same Av squad. And it's not even the same Jared Bednar on the bench. He masterfully worked through that last week to make sure that the entire team was healthy. Right now, the only people on the injury report are Cogliano, who is out for the game tonight. Unfortunately, he looked great against Nashville, had great minutes, scored a goal, moved the puck, played his position perfectly. Unfortunately, he also sustained an injury, so he will be replaced by, I believe, Sam Gerard. If not, oh no, I'm sorry. Somebody, hold on just a moment. I apologize. I have to get his name right. It was Eric Johnson. EJ is taking his spot. So got big O EJ in there, taking his spot in the lineup next to Bowen Byram. Excuse me. Sorry, I had something stuck in my throat there. Needed to get it out. Maybe I can talk better now. But after what we saw in game one, everybody should be excited to see what happens tonight. And it's game 2 in Ball Arena, just like game 1. They won't be going on the road until next game, so they get the home crowd again. They get the home energy, and I think it's going to be another very, very fun night. I won't go too far into it because we will do a little preview and everything. I want to stick on game 1 first. because it was just wonderful to see. I can't say that enough. I can't say how relieved I was after those first 5 minutes because I was honestly expecting this series to be much closer, much harder fought, especially with all the bad blood that's going on between these two teams. So the fact to see the Avs just go out and dominate, I mean, even the goaltending was very good, which was the number one thing we worried about coming into the playoffs. Darcy Kemper was able to stop 23 of 25 shots. So that tells you, number one, Kemper was on his game, stopped all but those two shots. And the fact that he only faced 25 shots tells you how active this defense was and just the way that they were able to dominate both sides of the ice. There was not a single inch of the ice the Avs did not dominate in game one. And for them to have the type of playoffs they are going to have, they want to have, I should say, they have to play like they did in game one. It's just a must. There's no way that you can take your foot off the pedal at this point and expect to just cruise. Because again, this is not a bad Nashville squad. Y'all got them down. Y'all played with their minds. You broke them probably a little bit in game one. The only person that was able to do anything was Matt Duchene, who had both goals for the Predators, but not a single assist. He was having to be a one-man band out there. And when you're playing this Avalanche team, you have got to have a squad. You can't just have one guy out there doing everything. You have to have your whole squad on point from the moment that the puck drops for the first time to the last time. You cannot let up on this Av squad because if you even give them an inch, they will take advantage of it. And so, if the Avalanche can play like they did in game one throughout the rest of this series and the playoffs, they are bringing a Stanley Cup home. Now, if they regress and they are not able to be as active and have as much emotion and just fortitude as they did in game one, this could get much more even, much more quickly than any of us would like to see. So we need to see the Avalanche absolutely dominate yet again tonight, go up 2-0 before they hit the road, and then see what happens on the road. And as in any sport, I don't care what sport you're playing, once you go on the road, things can go crazy. So if they can go ahead and take a 2-0 lead going into Nashville, nothing better than that. It's just, and especially if they can just utterly dominate and hopefully break the spirits of these guys, and that way they can go ahead and send them home packing quickly, and we don't have to worry about the Avalanche wearing themselves out in the way the Penguins and them did with their triple overtime. That was insane. If y'all didn't watch that game, y'all need to go back and watch the highlights. That was insane. I still hate the fact that that they took that and kept playing that over the Avalanche game so that people here in Denver that didn't have specific cable companies that they were with weren't able to watch the entire game. But that game was insane. I get why they were sticking with it, but at the same time, you have the best team in the league absolutely destroying another one, and nobody got to see it. That was heartbreaking. We really need for Crunky and all of these other cable companies to get over their rich people problems and bring hockey to Denver where it belongs. That was an absolute heartbreak to be on Twitter with all of these Avs fans that were so upset because, and rightfully so. I'm not saying that any of y'all were wrong for being upset. Y'all were absolutely right for being upset and going in every avenue you had to let Crunky and Comcast and all these other companies know exactly how you feel. It's the only way you're all going to budge anything. That and stop watching and stop going to the games. But we all know we can't avoid playoff hockey. So I'm not going to ask y'all to do those things, but do keep letting your opinion know. That's the only thing that's going to change anything. I Everything else has been done, but as long as y'all just keep passively letting them make money, they're going to keep with their rich people problems and screwing the little guy. But I think that's enough on game one. Here is who is in and who is out when it comes to the Colorado Avalanche and Nashville Predators and their lineup. If I can get it pulled up here. Oh, I lost it. Where did you go? Okay, here we go. All right, sorry about that, guys. Um, The projected lineup for the Colorado Avalanche, the first line is Valerie Nichushkin, Nathan McKinnon, Mikko Rantanen, Devin Taves, and Cale Makar. That's line one. That's the best line in all of hockey. Number two, the second line is Gabe Landeskog, the captain, Nazem Kadri, Arturi Lankinen, Samuel Girard, and Josh Manson. That's the best second line in all of hockey. Third line is Andre Burakovsky, JT Comfort, and Nicholas Abe Kubel, and Bowen Byram and Eric Johnson. Again, best third line in the game. This is why you cannot let up on the Av squad. They are literally three lines deep. Then you have Logan O'Connor, Nico Sturm, and Darren Helm manning the fourth line, and then be matched up with whatever defenders Jared Bednar feels is the best for them at the time. So, um, now going on to Andrew Cogliano. I don't know why I am having so much trouble with these names today. I know these names. I promise I know these names. These are my guys. Andrew Cogliano, unfortunately, again, is out. And I do apologize. Earlier, I think I said Eric Johnson is Logan O'Connor that is taking his place. So O'Connor has plenty of speed. He's not quite the offensive threat that Cogliano is, but he is a nasty, in your face, grinded out type of player. So Avs shouldn't miss too much there, just a little bit on the scoring side, but O'Connor still can put the biscuit in the basket with the best of them. So should be okay. Only one injury so far. We're gonna cross our fingers and toes and hope that that stays to being the fact that the Avs are able to get through the entire playoffs healthy. We know it's very unlikely. This is a physical game, a lot like football. Injury risk is extremely high. So we just got to keep hoping and praying that as healthy as the Avs came into the playoffs, that's how they leave the playoffs. That will be the number one factor in whether or not this team fulfills its true potential, which is a true Stanley Cup championship caliber team. So, with that lineup being that healthy, that full, as long as it stays that way, we are good to go. And tonight should be another fun night for Avs fans. So, that is who is in and out for the game tonight. One thing I want to touch on is that after the game, reporters asked Matt Duchene about the Duchene sucks chance coming from Colorado fans. It is absolutely warranted. The way that Duchene left this franchise and the way he disrespected this franchise on his way out the door, the Duchene sucks chants are probably the least of what he deserves from Avs fans. But that's not even the point I want to get to. I want to get to the indignation that Duchene answered it with. I mean, he answered it as professionally as possible. I will give him credit for that. It was all about, oh, great fans in Denver. They're passionate. I completely understand. That's great. But the way he looked so dejected and just broken from the beat down on the ice to the beat down in the stands, and then to have to relive it afterwards in the press conference was should have been delicious for Avalanche fans. I mean, you cannot tell me, I don't care what that man said at the podium, those got to him. He was hurt, and you could see it in the press conference. It was kind of sad. It really, really was. Um, but that's what you get. I mean, that's my opinion. I wish Callie was here because I'd love to hear her opinion on this. This is one of the stories I really wanted to hear her talk about. But I guess you're just going to get my one-sided view of it. Is that I hated the way that Duchesne left because like I said, it was just the indignation, the ego, the disrespect. I mean, essentially, he said that as long as Sakic was the GM, the Avalanche would never win another cup. And this was before the Avalanche got good. This was before McKinnon became the Mac Attack. This was before Cale Makar had even been drafted. This was before, I mean, Duchene trade is the reason we have a Bowen Byram and a Cale Makar here in Denver. So I guess we should be thankful to him to an extent, but it's even more enjoyable when you get the last laugh and then get to see the other person cry while you're laughing. And that's what's happening in this series. And they might just break that man's entire soul if they just go out here and dominate the way that they did in game one. It's just delicious and enjoyable and delectable all at the same time. And I just cannot wait to see how this series plays out. I do believe it's going to end up being very ugly for the Nashville Predators, and it's going to be absolutely enjoyable for everybody in Mile High Hockey Country. Like, this is going to be the series that we all have been waiting for ever since Duchene left. This is the moment of retribution and revenge, and you could see it with this Avalanche squad in game one. You could see they wanted to embarrass the Predators. They don't just want to beat the Predators and Matt Duchene. They want to embarrass him. They want to make sure he remembers and regrets everything he did on the way out the door. They're going to make sure that he is just as miserable as possible on the ice and off. They are going to do everything in their power to make that man pay. And I do want to say thank y'all. I have as many people in here as I do likes. That's epic. Y'all are learning. Y'all are the best. This is why we love y'all. Again, free for you, prices for us. And always remember, we don't just love the people that are here on the lives. We love everybody that comes and watches after. Every single view counts. So thank you all, whether you're here right now or not. Always remember, you can always leave your comments, even if you're not live. I want to make sure this is absolutely clear because I don't really get many comments from people that view it when they're not live. Remember that I am always around and I am always checking. If you leave a comment, I don't care what time of day or night, I will get back to it ASAP and I will answer any questions you have. You do not have to be on the live to ask me questions. I am here for y'all whenever, wherever, however. So always leave your comments right down at the bottom, no matter where you're at. YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, does not matter. Make sure you leave your comments down below, and we will always get back to you. I can't promise I'm always going to get back to you immediately, but I will always get back to you. If you go and you look at our stats anywhere, we have 100% reply rate. 100%. We do not forget y'all, and we are always here to answer your questions. That's part of this job that I love. It's why I love doing lives. I love the interaction. So please leave your comments. I don't want this to be a one-way conversation. I'm happy that you take my information and run with it, but I always want to have a conversation. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear your replies. So please leave them, and I am more than happy, and I actually enjoy doing that part of the job. The interactions is the absolute best. So thank you, Tay42 fam. Y'all are absolutely epic. One last thing before we move on to something you probably want to hear is that we are officially over 800 followers on Twitter, y'all. That is insane, Tay42 fam. We started the month of April with 27. We have gained over 800 followers in a month. Y'all are too epic. Y'all are too strong. Keep them coming. I am going to create another giveaway for 1,000 subscribers. So tell your aunties, your cousins, your uncles, everybody, if they want some free stuff, all they got to do is go on over to Twitter, hit the follow button, and they are entered. You just have to be following to be entered. So make sure you go over to Twitter. That's right here, right below me. That is our Twitter handle. Go there, follow, turn on the noties. That way you're aware every time we go live, every time we tweet. Most of our interactions are on Twitter. So if you want a quicker response time, you want a better conversation, go on over to Twitter. We will have you handled there. We're always on Twitter leaving something crazy. So make sure you go over there, check us out. We'd love to have you. But let's go ahead and let's get back to the Avalanche and hockey, because I know that is what you came here to hear me talk about, not shamelessly self-promote. So with all that being said, game 2 is tonight. So if y'all have not got it on the ticker yet, make sure you go and check your TV guide, see what channel you can watch on. Hopefully you have a cable company that's carrying it, and ESPN doesn't pull another crapola move and have a triple overtime game on the channel you actually have access to. So we'll keep our fingers crossed on that. But it is tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain, if I remember correctly. I will double check just to be sure. I don't want to tell you all the time it's not. 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So game starts then. Now also, I will have another live at 8:30 p.m. tonight with Quinn. So I'll have another co-host. If y'all want to check us out while watching the game, we're perfectly cool with that. But always make sure you come back here, give us a little love. And that is the West is Best podcast there with Quinn from California. That we had our pilot episode on Monday. So if you enjoyed that, make sure you come back for more. We're going to have fun covering all three major sports, nationwide stories. So that way you're not just stuck listening to me talk about my favorite teams. I can talk about your favorite teams as well if you go ahead and check us out there. But again, Avalanche podcast, I'm going to get this back on track. Game is tonight. We have the Predators still in town. Go ahead and get this game pulled, my notes pulled up. I thought I had them up here. All right. We already went over the starting lineup for the Avalanche. So they have their full starting lineup outside of Cogliano, which Logan O'Connor is going to be taking his place. So good replacement, good solid player. That's going to go ahead and keep that line moving. Nashville, same thing, same lineup as Monday. Duchene and company will be trying to right the ship. Darcy Kemper is in goal again. So we're hoping for another impressive performance from him. Again, Cogliano is day to day for those that didn't catch it. So to give you the full lineup for the Nashville Predators, their number one line, Philip Forsberg. Yes, that is Peter Forsberg's son. Michael Granlund and Matt Duchene with Roman Josi and Dante Fabro. I love this matchup for the simple fact of what we talked about a couple weeks ago, which is the Makar versus Josi debate for Defensive Player of the Year, essentially for the National Hockey League. So seeing them go up against each other and Josi just gets smoked. Josi was supposed to be the odds-on favorite because it's his last chance, yada, yada, yada. Again, I don't care about nostalgia. The man's old. Move on. Let the new kid take the torch and let Makar do his thing. That's what needs to be done. And game one was an absolute clinic on why Makar should be the guy instead of Josi. As we spoke about before, plus minus isn't the greatest indicator of who's the better defender, but it is a great piece of the pie. And when you have a gap, the way that Makar and Josi have, you have to pay attention to it. And that 40-point gap between the two in plus minus showed up in game one. So if Makar can handle business the way that he did in game one on both sides, pressing it on offense and beating them up on defense, this is going to be another showcase on why I was right and Makar is the premier defenseman in all of the NHL. I don't care who you put him up against. Makar is a absolute beast of a unicorn. Nobody can match him, and the man should own that trophy for pretty much the remainder of his career. I really don't see another defenseman anywhere near Makar on talent or production. The man has both, and I do believe that is going to be the key matchup, is going to be Makar beaten up on Duchene and Josi, while McKinnon and Landeskog and the rest of them get to just skate freely around the ice. They just have too much speed. The Predators are too slow. They can't score enough, and their goaltending is subpar. I know that makes it sound like they are a bad team, but again, when you have Forsberg, Duchene, and Josi, you're not a bad team. They're just not as good as the best team in the league. And that means, and when you are the best team in the league, that means you have no peer. And honestly, at this point, I don't see the Avalanche having a peer. Even Tampa, I don't care who you put up against them, I'm taking the Avs, especially after game one, because that's going to continue. This is a team that doesn't flip it on and off. I know you're going to say, oh, well, what about the last week? And they only won. That was not them flipping the switch on and off. That was Jared Bednar making sure his team came into the playoffs fully healthy. And he did. Mission accomplished. Who cares whether or not they had the best record in the league? They had that last year and then got absolutely destroyed by the Golden Knights, who weren't supposed to be the best team in the league, and they dominated the Avalanche after that game one victory we talked about earlier, when the Avalanche beat the Golden Knights 7-1 in game one and then lost the next 4 games after that. That's not happening this year. This is a different Avalanche squad. That Avs squad that won 7-1 against the Golden Knights did that because the Golden Knights weren't physical enough in game one. Then you saw that change completely with White Cloud and company absolutely just beating the dog breaks off of anybody that came in the neutral zone. This Avs squad is much bigger, much nastier, much meaner. You don't get to they are the bullies now. They used to be the little quick kids that could run around you and get away from you, but if you got your hands on them, it was over. That's not this Avalanche squad. This squad has dogs, from McDermott to Johnson to Bo to Kale. Every single one of these guys have a serious dog inside of them, and they smelled blood from the opening the opening puck drop in game one. And I do see that coming tonight. So in game two, I don't think it's going to be as bad, not like 7-2, but I'm looking at 5-2. That's my final prediction for the final score for tonight with the Avalanche and the Predators. 5-2 Avalanche win, go up 2-0 before they go ahead and hit the road and head to Nashville. So the Predators can start, singing their country songs about how they lost their dog and their wife and their truck, because I mean, how do you go back to them? These men have wives and families, and they got embarrassed on national television. How do you go back to wifey after what the Avalanche did in game one and then are again going to do tonight in game two? I just don't see it happening. I see a lot of divorces in Nashville and a lot more of sad country songs going to be played. I just want to come back over here, make sure I didn't miss any comments. Nope. Goody, goody. Just wanted to make sure y'all didn't think I was ignoring you. And we are getting close to the end here, so we'll go ahead and jump over to the next one. The next story I wanted to bring up was Nazem Kadri penned an op-ed for the Players Tribune called "I Am Who I Am." It's one where he acknowledges his past troubles. For those of you that don't know, the man has either been injured or suspended in the playoffs, which was part of what sent the Avalanche in a tizzy last season, where he ended up getting suspended for 8 games at the beginning after game one, or at the end of round one, right before they went and played the Golden Knights. And as we all know, Kadri's one of those dogs that I was just talking about. And he brings that physical mentality you have to have in the NHL to be successful, especially at the level that Kadri has been. He had an absolute career year this year, set career marks for every, and when I say every, I mean literally every offensive category, from goals to assists to points to plus minus. I mean, time on ice, everything was a career high. Excuse me. What's going on with my throat here? But we'll get it together. But I personally really enjoyed this story. So for those of you that have not read the letter that he posted again on the Players Tribune, which I can understand because not many people actually read the Tribune outside of super sports fans like me. It's really what the Players Tribune is. It was created by Derek Jeter for athletes to tell their stories in a journalistic manner firsthand. So instead of just hiring a bunch of sports writers, he has athletes write stories for the Tribune. So They're in the comments. If y'all check them, that is the story. The one that I just linked in the comments. That is the story we are talking about. And if you haven't read it, go ahead and read it. It's a pretty powerful letter. He really opens up, bears his soul, and I think that the things he talks about in here, where he was talking about how he didn't sleep for days, maybe even weeks after his suspension last year, and how that ate at him, and how he took all of that and it's what he used to fuel himself for this year, and it's been recognized so much that he is the nominee for the King Clancy Award in the NHL. So for those of you that don't know what the King Clancy Award is, if you know what the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award is in the NFL, this is the equivalent, but it's older. This is something that has been, it was originated in 1981 to honor King Clancy, a famous Hall of Fame hockey player. Go ahead and just look him up. If you don't know who King Clancy is, you need to go look him up. The man's one of the greats and was one of the greatest philanthropists in the NHL back in the day when they weren't making any money. Well, Kadri decided after that he was going to change. That's the main crux of this story that he wrote. That he's going to change. He's going to get his. He's still going to be who he is, but he's going to make the better decisions. Like when he has that bang bang play, like they did in the playoffs last year, instead of going down and just taking the hit, he might pull up, which is okay. Because again, the Avalanche need Kadri on the ice. They need that dog mentality for that line. He is what makes that line tick. So if he's not on the ice, that line is severely lacking in energy and fortitude and just again that dog mentality, that nastiness. They get a little light in the pants, so to speak. And so to see Kadri, who has always been so reserved, I wouldn't say quiet, but he never really let his personal life out there. And to see him be as vulnerable as he was in this letter really gives me a sense of relief that we don't have to worry about Kadri doing Kadri things. Because again, almost every time this man's been in the playoffs, he's either been suspended or injured. So the Avalanche don't need either of those. So the fact that he's been able to flip it around this much in just 12 months, going from essentially being like a bad boy that everybody hates in the NHL to being a respectable member of society to the point where you're going to get that you've been nominated for an award that is simply based off of your community outreach. That says a lot for a player of his caliber to be willing to take all of this in internally and then regurgitate it in such a positive way. So my hats are off to Kadri. I truly hope that that what he says in all of this story is completely true. Because if it is, the Avs got a whole new player on a whole new level with a whole new mindset. And it is going to pay huge dividends for this team as they go down the line. So one last check for comments. I don't see any. So I think this is a perfect place for us to go ahead and end this because, like I said, I do have another live later, and I'm out of stuff to talk about. So I love y'all for coming in. I appreciate y'all. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for everything that y'all do on a daily basis there, Tay42 fam. Y'all are the absolute best. I can't say that enough. I love y'all so much. We all here love y'all so much. You are what makes this work. Without y'all, we are nothing. So please keep bringing the love, keep bringing the energy, keep coming to us. Like I said, we're going to be giving you more and more and more content as we go. This is just the beginning. You got your 3 podcasts right now, but like I said many times before, we are bringing you more and more and more. It will never end as long as y'all come back and give the love you give. We will reciprocate it in kind. So, as always, for the Answers 42 Media, I am Dan Wetstein, your host for Sasquatch Says. As always, don't question the blue.